The space station was bigger than anything Teeman had ever seen. It stretched across the darkness like a metal city floating among the stars. Lights blinked along its surface in patterns that hurt his eyes to look at. The human shuttle looked like a tiny bug next to the massive structure. Teeman adjusted his formal diplomatic suit and checked his tablet one more time. As Earth's lead ambassador, he carried the hopes of 8 billion people. Today would decide if humanity joined the galactic community as equals or became another conquered world. "First time seeing Nexus Station?" asked Taijin from the seat beside him. The young xenobiologist looked calm, but Teeman noticed her hands shaking slightly as she organized her research files. "Yes, it's incredible," Teeman replied. Through the shuttle window, he could see ships from dozens of different worlds docked at the station's ports. Some looked like metal whales. Others resembled geometric crystals. A few seemed to be made of pure energy contained in force fields. Colonel Minho leaned forward from the back seat. "Remember the plan. We present our case calmly and professionally. No matter what they say about Earth or humanity, we stay diplomatic." Jawan nodded while checking her translation equipment. "All communication systems are working perfectly. The universal translators should handle any language issues." "The shuttle," pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "Docking in 5 minutes. Good luck, team." Teeman felt his stomach tighten. Everything depended on the next few hours. The docking bay was enormous. Alien beings moved in all directions, some walking, others floating, a few slithering across the polished floor. The air tasted metallic and smelled like ozone. Strange music echoed from hidden speakers, all clicking sounds and harmonious hums. A tall figure approached their group. It stood nearly 3 meters high with blue-gray skin covered in natural armor plates. Its 4 arms moved with military precision, and its black eyes showed no emotion. "Ambassador Teeman of Earth," the creature said in perfect English. "I am Commander Vorthak of the Vraxian Empire. The Council is ready to review your petition." "Thank you, Commander," Teeman replied with a slight bow. "We appreciate the Council's time." Vorthak's mouth curved into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Follow me. Try to keep up." The walk through the station took 20 minutes. They passed markets selling impossible foods, libraries filled with floating books, and gardens growing plants that glowed in rainbow colors. Alien children pointed at the humans and whispered to their parents. The council chamber was a massive circular room with seats arranged in rising tiers. Representatives from 47 different worlds sat in specialized chairs designed for their unique body types. Some breathed different gases through masks. Others existed as energy patterns. Contained in mechanical bodies. At the center of the chamber sat a small table with 4 human-sized chairs. Teeman felt very small as hundreds of alien eyes focused on his team. "The council recognizes the delegation from Earth," announced a voice from the chamber's center. A floating crystal pulsed with light as it spoke. "Present your case for membership in the galactic community." Teeman stood and activated his presentation device. A holographic image of Earth appeared above the table, slowly rotating to show the blue and green planet. "Honored council members," he began. "Earth requests protected membership status based on our unique biosphere and the potential contributions of human civilization." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some sounded amused, others seemed bored. "We bring advanced technology in several fields," Teeman continued. "Our medical research has produced treatments for over 3,000 diseases. Our agricultural methods can increase food production by 40%. Our artistic and cultural achievements span 10,000 years of recorded history." A serpentine creature with dozens of eyes raised one of its tentacles. "What about military capability? Can Earth defend itself or contribute to galactic security?" "Colonel." Minho stood to answer. "Earth maintains defensive forces suitable for planetary protection. We also offer our experience in conflict resolution and peacekeeping operations." Laughter echoed through the chamber. It sounded like breaking glass mixed with grinding metal. Commander Vorthak rose from his seat. "Peacekeeping? Your species still fights wars among yourselves. Your weapons are primitive projectile devices and simple explosives. What could Earth possibly contribute to galactic defense? Our biosphere contains remarkable predator species, Hyjin said, standing beside her tablet. Earth's evolutionary history has produced some of the most efficient hunters in known space. The laughter grew louder. Dr. Quellen, a tall gray being with an oversized head, floated down from the upper tiers. His voice carried the tone of a professor addressing slow students. Dr. Hyjin, we have reviewed your biological surveys. Earth's so-called apex predators are indeed impressive by primitive world standards. However, they pale in comparison to true galactic-level fauna. The holographic display changed to show a massive creature with glowing red scales. This is a Rexian battle serpent. It grows to 50 meters in length and breathes plasma hot enough to melt starship armor. Its hide can deflect energy weapons that would vaporize your largest Earth predators. More images appeared. A crystalline spider the size of a building. A flying creature with wings made of pure energy. A plant that could swallow entire vehicles. Your lions and tigers are cubs compared to real predators, Dr. Quellen continued. Your sharks would serve as appetizers for a Catherine Deep hunter. Your bears might provide brief entertainment for our children's pets. Hyjin's face turned red, but she kept her voice steady. Earth's predators have survived through multiple extinction events. They show remarkable adaptability and intelligence. Adaptability? Commander Vorthic's laugh boomed across the chamber. I once watched a single battle serpent destroy an entire rebel fortress. Can your Earth creatures melt through 10 meters of reinforced steel? No, but they possess other qualities, Hyjin replied weakly. What qualities could possibly matter? In real combat? Asked another council member, a being that looked like a walking tree. Size and firepower determine survival in the galaxy. Your Earth beasts are simply too small and weak to be relevant. The voting began immediately. Holographic displays showed the results in real time. Category 5 protected status, 0 votes. Category 4 limited membership, 0 votes. Category 3 non-threat world, 47 votes. The floating crystal announced the verdict. Earth is classified as a Category 3 non-threat world. Your biosphere shows potential for agricultural development and resource extraction. Galactic corporations may begin integration procedures within 30 standard days. Tiemann felt the words hit him like physical blows. Integration meant colonization. Resource extraction meant strip mining. Earth would become a factory world for alien companies. The Council appreciates Earth's interest in galactic citizenship, Dr. Quellen added with false politeness. Your species may apply for individual work permits on designated worlds. Perhaps. In a few thousand years, you will develop sufficient capability for reconsideration. Commander Vorthik approached their table as the council members began filing out. Do not feel bad, Ambassador. Most primitive worlds receive similar classification. Your planet will provide valuable services to more advanced civilizations. What kind of services? Zhuan asked quietly. Mining, farming, simple manufacturing, Vorthik replied casually. Your people will have employment opportunities and support roles. It is quite generous, really. Tiemann maintained his diplomatic composure, but his hands clenched into fists under the table. How long do we have to prepare for this integration? 30 standard days. A fleet will arrive to oversee the transition. Do not worry. The process is usually quite smooth once local populations accept their new circumstances. As the aliens left the chamber, Tiemann and his team sat in stunned silence. Everything they had worked for, everything Earth had hoped for, had collapsed in less than an hour. They did not even consider our proposal seriously, Minho said finally. They were laughing at us from the beginning, Hyjin added, her voice bitter. To them, we are just another primitive world to be exploited. Tiemann stared at the empty chamber around them. Somewhere among the stars, Earth waited for news of humanity's future. Soon he would have to return home and tell 8 billion people that they had 30 days before becoming an alien colony, But as they walked back to their shuttle, a strange thought entered his mind. The aliens had dismissed Earth's predators without truly understanding them. They focused on size and obvious power, missing subtler qualities that made Earth's hunters so successful. Perhaps that oversight would prove important. Perhaps there were things about Earth that the galaxy had not yet learned to fear. The emergency meeting room in the basement of the Global Defense Center was crowded with Earth's most important leaders. President Suyang sat at the head of the long table, her face pale after hearing Timon's report. Around her, defense ministers, scientists, and military commanders struggled to process the terrible news. 30 days, she said quietly. They gave us 30 days before they turn Earth into their mining colony. General Minho placed his hands flat on the table. Our military analysis is clear. We cannot fight them directly. Their smallest ships are larger than our biggest cities. Their weapons can destroy continents from space. What about negotiation? Asked Foreign Minister Jinwoo. Surely we can find some compromise. Timon shook his head. They see us as insects. The council made their decision before we even spoke. To them, we are just another primitive world to be exploited. Dr. Hygiene opened her tablet and showed the room images from the space station. They laughed at our predators, called them weak and useless. They only care about size and raw power. Then we are finished, said Defense Secretary Kyung-soo. If we cannot fight and cannot negotiate, what options remain? A voice spoke from the back of the room. Maybe we are thinking about this wrong. Everyone turned to look at Dr. Yuna. She was a small woman with graying hair who rarely spoke at these high-level meetings. As head of the Enhanced Animal Research Division, she usually worked in secret laboratories far from the political world. What do you mean, Dr. Yuna? President Suyang asked. Yuna stood and walked to the front of the room. She connected her own device to the main display screen. The aliens dismissed our predators because they think bigger means better. But what if size is not the most important thing? Images appeared on the screen showing various Earth animals. Lions hunting in packs, sharks circling prey, bears defending their cubs. These are impressive, Yuna continued, but they are not what makes Earth truly dangerous. Our real weapons are smaller, much smaller. The screen changed to show a new animal. It looked like a small badger with black and white fur. Most people in the room had never seen one before. This is a honey badger, Yuna explained. It weighs about 12 kilograms. The aliens would laugh at it even more than they laughed at our lions. General Minho frowned. Dr. Yuna, with respect, how can a small badger help us against alien battleships? Yuna smiled for the first time since entering the room. Let me show you what honey badgers can really do. She pressed a button on her tablet. Video footage began playing on the main screen. The first clip showed a honey badger attacking a cobra 3 times its size. The snake's deadly bite had no effect. The badger killed it and ate it. Honey badgers are immune to most venoms and toxins, Yuna explained. Their skin is so thick and loose that they can twist around inside it even when another animal has them in its jaws. The next video showed a honey badger breaking out of a zoo enclosure. It used tools, climbed walls, and solved complex puzzles to escape. They are also extremely intelligent. They can use tools, plan ahead, and learn from experience. More footage played. A honey badger fighting off a pack of lions. Another one climbing up a tree to steal eagle eggs while the parent birds attacked it uselessly. But most importantly, Yuna said, honey badgers never give up. They do not understand the concept of surrender. They will fight enemies 10 times their size without fear. The room was quiet as everyone watched the videos. The small animal on screen was clearly fearless, attacking anything that got in its way. This is fascinating, President Suyang said slowly, but I still do not understand how this helps us. Yuna's smile grew wider. For the past 5 years, my team has been working on Project Guardian. We have been enhancing honey badgers to make them even more effective. She showed new footage. These honey badgers were larger, about the size of small dogs. They moved faster and seemed more intelligent than normal ones. We used genetic modification to improve their size, strength, and intelligence while keeping their natural advantages. We also added new abilities. The enhanced honey badgers on screen were doing impossible things. One climbed a smooth metal wall using tiny claws that could grip any surface. Another one squeezed through a gap that seemed too small for its body. We gave them adaptive genetics, Yuna explained. They can modify their own bodies slightly to handle different environments. Cold, heat, different air pressures, even brief exposure to vacuum. General Minho leaned forward. How many of these enhanced honey badgers do you have? Currently, about 300 adults. But they reproduce quickly, and the young ones mature in just 6 months. 300 small animals against an alien. Invasion fleet? Defense Secretary Kyung-soo sounded doubtful. Yuna pressed another button. The screen showed security footage from what looked like a military testing facility. A single enhanced honey badger was placed in a room with advanced combat robots. What happened next made everyone in the meeting room gasp. The honey badger moved like lightning, dodging laser beams and tearing apart the robots with its claws. Within 5 minutes, the room was full of destroyed machinery while the honey badger sat calmly grooming itself. The enhancement process also improved their speed and reflexes, Yuna said. They can move faster than most targeting systems can track them. President Suyang stared at the screen. Dr. Yuna, are you suggesting we use these creatures as weapons against the aliens? Not exactly weapons, Yuna replied. Think of them as saboteurs. Honey badgers are naturally curious and destructive. They love to tear things apart to see how they work. In the wild, they break into beehives, termite mounds, and bird nests. She showed more footage of the enhanced honey badgers exploring a mock spaceship interior. They quickly found weak points in the structure and began dismantling everything they could reach. What if we could get them onto the alien ships? Yuna asked the room. They would not try to fight the aliens directly. They would do what honey badgers do best. They would tear apart everything they could find. The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. It was crazy, but it might actually work. How would we get them onto the ships? Asked Timan. That is where diplomacy comes in, Yuna replied. The aliens expect us to surrender peacefully. They will probably want to meet with our leaders first. Those meetings would be perfect opportunities. General Minho was studying the footage intently. These enhanced honey badgers, how long can they survive without food or air? Up to 3 days without food. They can hold their breath for 20 minutes, and their modified physiology lets them survive in low oxygen environments for several hours. And they will really attack anything they encounter? Yuna nodded. Honey badgers have no natural fear. Response. To them, every challenge is just another puzzle to solve through violence and determination. President Suyang looked around the room at her advisors. This plan is insane, but everything else we have tried has failed. The aliens gave us 30 days, and conventional resistance is impossible. There is one more thing, Yuna added quietly. We tested the enhanced honey badgers against samples of alien technology we obtained from crashed probes over the years. Their claws can cut through most alien materials. Their teeth can chew through their electronic components. Defense Secretary Kyung-soo was already making notes. How quickly can you prepare more of these creatures? We have been preparing for months, Yuna admitted. I suspected the first contact would not go well. We have transport containers ready. The honey badgers can be placed in temporary hibernation for covert deployment. And they will wake up angry and ready to fight? Asked General Minho. Oh yes, Yuna replied with a grin. Honey badgers wake up from forced sleep in very bad moods. They tend to attack the first thing they see. President Suyang made her decision. Dr. Yuna, you have authorization to proceed with Project Guardian. We have nothing left to lose and everything to gain. As the meeting ended and people began filing out, Timan approached Yuna. Doctor, do you really think this will work? She looked at him seriously. Ambassador, the aliens made one critical mistake. They judged our predators by their size instead of their spirit. Honey badgers prove that sometimes the smallest fighters are the most dangerous ones. Because they never give up? Because they are too stubborn to know when they are supposed to be afraid. 3 weeks after the failed negotiations, 12 massive alien warships appeared in Earth's sky. Each one was the size of a small city, their dark hulls blocking out the sun as they took positions above major population centers. The ships cast long shadows over New York, London, Tokyo, and 9 other cities around the world. Admiral Krex stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue and green planet below. The Vraxian commander was even larger than most of his species, with thick armor plating covering his forearms and scars, marking his face from dozens of battles. To him, Earth looked peaceful and helpless. "A beautiful world," said his second-in-command, Captain Vex. "It will make an excellent mining colony once we clear away the primitive settlements." Krex nodded while studying the tactical displays. "The humans have made no attempt to resist. Their weapons are too weak to threaten even our smallest escort. Ships, this integration will be simple." On the communication screen, Earth's surrender message was playing on repeat. Ambassador Tiemann appeared calm and defeated as he requested a meeting to discuss the terms of Earth's surrender. "The human ambassador wants to negotiate," Captain Vex reported. "Should we ignore him?" "No," Krex replied thoughtfully. "It is better to have their leaders cooperate willingly. Arrange a meeting aboard this ship. Bring their delegation here so they can see the power they face." Down on Earth, in the hidden command center beneath Geneva, the final preparations were underway. Dr. Yuna supervised as her team loaded the last of the special containers onto the diplomatic shuttle. Each container looked like a standard gift box filled with Earth cultural items. Inside, enhanced honey badgers slept in specially designed hibernation pods. "Remember," Yuna told her team, "the hibernation will last exactly 6 hours. After that, they will wake up hungry, confused, and very angry." Tiemann checked his diplomatic uniform one final time. Hidden in his formal jacket was a small device that would broadcast the activation signal to all 12 alien ships simultaneously. The timing had to be perfect. "Are you sure about this, Doctor?" he asked Yuna. "Once we activate those creatures, there will be no going back." "Ambassador," Yuna replied seriously, "honey badgers never go back anyway. They only know how to go forward through whatever is in their path." Haijin was nervous as she reviewed her cover story one more time. She would be introduced as a cultural specialist bringing gifts to show Earth's peaceful intentions. The aliens would never suspect that the innocent-looking containers held the most dangerous creatures on Earth. Colonel Minho wished he could go with them, but the aliens had limited the diplomatic party to just 4 people. Instead, he would coordinate the ground operation from Earth's command center. "All teams report ready," he announced. Similar containers have been loaded onto supply shuttles heading to all 12 alien ships. The creatures will be distributed throughout their fleets within the hour. Giwan tested her equipment one last time. Her job was to document everything for the historical record and to broadcast the results to resistance cells around the world. If the plan failed, others would need to know what happened. The diplomatic shuttle launched right on schedule. As it approached the massive alien flagship, Tiemann could see weapons batteries that could destroy entire cities. The ship's hull was covered in armor thicker than most Earth buildings. "Impressive, is it not?" Admiral Krex's voice came over the communication system. "Your entire planet's military could not scratch the paint on my ship's armor." "It is indeed magnificent," Tiemann replied diplomatically. "We are honored that you would meet with us personally." The docking bay was enormous, filled with alien fighters and transport vehicles. Vraxian warriors in full battle armor escorted the human delegation through corridors, lined with glowing weapon systems and tactical displays. Admiral Krex waited in the main conference room surrounded by his senior officers. The chamber was designed to intimidate, with a high ceiling and walls covered in the battle honors of the Vraxian fleet. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Conquest," Krex said as the humans entered. "I trust you are impressed by what you see." "Very much so," Tiemann replied with a bow. "We have brought gifts to honor this historic meeting between our species." Hyjin stepped forward with the first container. These represent the finest examples of Earth culture and craftsmanship. We hope they will serve as symbols of friendship between our worlds. The Vraxian officers examined the boxes with mild interest. They looked harmless enough, decorated with images of Earth animals and landscapes. The aliens had no way to know that hidden sensors in each container were already monitoring the ship's internal atmosphere and adjusting the hibernation systems accordingly. "Your gifts are acceptable," Admiral Krex said dismissively. "Now, let us discuss the terms of your surrender. Earth will be divided into extraction zones. Your population will be relocated to designated settlement areas where they can provide useful labor." As Krex spoke, similar scenes were playing out on the other 11 ships in the fleet. Human supply shuttles were delivering cultural exchange packages to each vessel. The alien crews accepted them without suspicion, adding them to storage areas throughout their ships. In the command center on Earth, Dr. Yuna watched the timer count down. 5 hours and 43 minutes until activation. Everything was proceeding perfectly. "Cargo distribution is complete on all ships," reported Captain Kyung-soo. "The containers are now spread throughout the alien fleet." Back on the flagship, the meeting was not going well for humanity. Admiral Krex was outlining Earth's future as a resource extraction world. Humans would work in mines and factories. Earth's cities would be demolished to make room for alien industrial complexes. "Your species will find useful employment in support roles," Krex explained. "Many primitive worlds have successfully transitioned to colonial status. You should feel proud to serve the greater galactic community." Teeman maintained his diplomatic composure while quietly checking his hidden device. The timer showed 15 minutes until activation. Soon the honey badgers would wake up in a very bad mood. "What about our governments and institutions?" Ji-Wan asked. "They will be replaced with more efficient administrative systems," Captain Vex replied. "Your primitive democracy is too slow for modern resource management." "And our cultural sites?" Hyjin inquired. "Preserved where practical," Krex said with fake concern. "Though mining operations must take priority over sentimental attachments." The discussion continued for another 10 minutes. The aliens seemed to enjoy explaining how completely Earth's independence would end. They spoke about humanity like people discussing livestock. Finally, Tieman's device vibrated silently. The activation signal was ready to transmit. He looked at his teammates and gave an almost invisible nod. "Admiral," Tieman said formally, "before we conclude these negotiations, I have one final question about the integration process." "Ask your question," Krex replied impatiently. Tieman pressed the hidden button on his device. Throughout the 12-ship fleet, hibernation pods began their wake-up sequences. Enhanced honey badgers started stirring from their artificial sleep. "I was wondering," Tieman said calmly, "how much do you know about Earth's smaller predators?" Admiral Krex looked confused. "Your small predators? Why would that matter? We have already dismissed your pathetic fauna as irrelevant." "I see," Tieman replied. "That is interesting because they are about to wake up." "What are you talking about?" Captain Vex demanded. Before anyone could answer, an alarm began sounding somewhere deep in the ship. Then another alarm joined it, and another. The bridge communication system crackled to life with panicked reports from different sections of the massive vessel. "Bridge, this is Cargo Bay 7. Something is tearing apart the storage containers. Engineering reports unknown creatures attacking the power distribution systems. Security Team 12 is requesting backup. Something small and fast is destroying equipment on Deck 15. Admiral Krex stared at the humans in shock. "What have you done?" Tieman smiled for the first time since boarding the alien ship. "We introduced you to Earth's real predators. The ones you never bothered to study because they seemed too small to matter." Throughout the ship, enhanced honey badgers were waking up, confused, hungry, and surrounded by strange smells and sounds. They did what honey badgers always do in such situations. They started tearing apart everything they could reach to find food and establish territory. The trap was sprung. The real battle was about to begin. The first honey badger to fully wake up was in the ship's main power distribution center. The creature opened its eyes in a small, dark space filled with humming machines and blinking lights. Everything smelled wrong. Everything sounded wrong. The honey badger did what its species had done for millions of years when, faced with confusion and anger, it started destroying everything in sight. Baldock was the largest of the enhanced honey badgers, nearly twice the size of his unmodified cousins. He had been sleeping in a container near the ship's central computer core. When he woke up, his improved intelligence immediately told him he was in an alien environment filled with potential threats. His response was swift and devastating. Baldock's enhanced claws, sharp enough to cut through steel, began slicing through fiber optic cables like they were spider webs. His teeth, strengthened through genetic modification, crunched through circuit boards and processors in the ship's command center. Admiral Krex watched his tactical displays flicker and fail one by one. Red warning lights flashed across every control panel. "Report," he bellowed at his communications officer. "Sir, we are losing systems throughout the ship. Something is attacking our primary computer networks." "How is that possible?" "Nothing got past our security scanners." Captain Vex was studying the internal sensor readings with growing panic. "Admiral, the attacks are coming from multiple small creatures. They appear to be moving through our ventilation systems and service tunnels." "Show me," Krex demanded. The main screen flickered to life, showing grainy security footage from deep inside the ship. The image was unclear, but they could see small, dark shapes moving with incredible speed through the corridors. Wherever they went, sparks flew and systems failed. "What are those things?" Captain Vex whispered "TAM" and smiled calmly from his seat at the conference table. "Those are honey badgers. Enhanced honey badgers, to be precise." "Impossible," Admiral Krex snarled. "Those tiny creatures cannot threaten a Vraxian battleship." More alarms began sounding. The lights in the conference room dimmed as power fluctuated throughout the massive vessel. "Bridge, this is engineering," came a panicked voice over the intercom. "The creatures have reached the main reactor chamber. They are tearing apart the cooling systems." "Send security teams immediately," Krex ordered. "We tried, sir. The creatures are too fast and too small. Our weapons cannot target them effectively. When we fire, we hit our own systems." On the security monitors, they could see Vraxian warriors in full battle armor chasing small furry shapes through the corridors. The aliens were massive and powerful, but they moved slowly in their heavy equipment. The honey badgers darted between their legs under their weapons, and through gaps too small for the aliens to follow. One security team cornered a honey badger in a dead-end corridor. 6 armored warriors raised their energy weapons, confident. They had finally trapped one of the creatures. The honey badger looked at them for a moment, tilted its head, and then charged directly at the center warrior. It moved so fast that the Vraxian's targeting system could not lock onto it. The creature leaped onto the alien's chest and began tearing at the joints in his armor with its claws. The other warriors tried to help, but their weapons were too powerful to use safely in close quarters. Within seconds, the honey badger had disabled the center warrior's armor and disappeared back into the ventilation system. "This is impossible," Captain Vex said, staring at the monitors. "How can such small creatures cause so much damage?" Haijin spoke up from her chair. "Honey badgers are not designed for direct combat. They are designed for infiltration and sabotage. In the wild, they break into heavily defended structures like beehives and termite mounds. Your ship is just a very large beehive to them." Throughout the vessel, more honey badgers were waking up and beginning their destructive work. Each one approached the alien technology with the curiosity and determination that had made their species legendary on Earth. In the weapons bay, 3 honey badgers discovered the ship's main gun control systems. They did not understand what the machines were for, but they could smell the electrical components inside. Within minutes, they had chewed through the main targeting computers, turning the ship's most powerful weapons into useless scrap metal. In the life support center, 2 more honey badgers found the air recycling systems, the complex machinery was filled with interesting tubes and filters that made satisfying crunching sounds when torn apart. They worked methodically, destroying each component they could reach. The ship's artificial gravity began fluctuating as honey badgers in the gravity generator room treated the massive machines like elaborate climbing structures. They swung from cable to cable, their enhanced grip allowing them to hang from surfaces that should have been impossible to climb. Admiral Krex was receiving damage reports faster than he could process them. Navigation offline. Weapons offline. Life support failing. How is this possible? Sir, his communications officer called out, we are receiving similar reports from the entire fleet. All 12 ships are under attack by these creatures. Through the conference room windows, they could see the other alien ships in the distance. Several were listing to one side as their gravity generators failed. One ship's lights were flickering on and off in a chaotic pattern. This cannot be happening, Krex said, his voice rising to a roar. We are the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. We have conquered 100 worlds. We cannot be defeated by small furry animals. Zhuan was quietly recording everything on her hidden camera. This footage would be broadcast across Earth within hours, showing the galaxy that humanity had found a way to fight back. Admiral, Tiemann said politely, perhaps we should discuss new terms for our relationship. Never. Krex slammed his 4 fists on the table. When we catch these creatures, we will dissect them and learn their weaknesses. Then we will return to finish what we started. A tremendous crash echoed through the ship as something large fell in the engineering section. The lights went out completely for several seconds before emergency power kicked in. Sir, came another panicked voice over the intercom, the creatures have reached the main computer core. They are eating the primary data storage systems. Eating them? Krex asked in disbelief. Yes, sir. They appear to enjoy the taste of our memory crystals. Baldock had indeed discovered that alien computer components had an interesting flavor. The enhanced honey badger's modified digestive system could process almost any organic or metallic material. To him, the glowing memory crystals tasted like crunchy treats. He methodically worked his way through the ship's digital brain, consuming terabytes of tactical data, navigation charts, and technical specifications. With each bite, the Vraxian flagship became a little more blind and helpless. In the medical bay, honey badgers discovered the ship's supply of healing chemicals and enhancement drugs. Their natural immunity to toxins meant the alien medicines had no effect on them, but the containers made satisfying popping sounds when crushed between their teeth. The ventilation system carried their scent throughout the ship, marking territory and confusing the alien crew. Everywhere the Vraxians turned, they could smell the musk of Earth predators, but they could rarely see their tiny tormentors. Admiral, Captain Vex reported grimly, we have lost 70% of our primary systems. The ship is no longer combat capable. Krex stared at the humans sitting calmly at his conference table. They looked completely relaxed, as if they were attending a pleasant social gathering instead of watching his mighty fleet being torn apart by creatures the size of house cats. How? He asked finally. How did you know this would work? Tiemann stood up slowly. Because you made the same mistake everyone makes when they first encounter honey badgers. You assumed that size and obvious power were the only things that mattered in a fight. But they are so small, Krex said weakly. Yes, Hyjin agreed, but they do not care. Honey badgers have never learned that they are supposed to be afraid of bigger enemies. They see your mighty warship as just another obstacle to tear apart. The ship shuddered as another critical system failed somewhere in its depths. Through the windows, they could see one of the other alien vessels beginning to drift helplessly as its engines shut down. Admiral Krex, the conqueror of worlds, sat down heavily in his chair as he realized that his unstoppable fleet was being defeated by Earth's most stubborn predators. The honey badgers were not just winning. They were having fun doing it. The news of the great honey badger incident spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours of the first attacks, emergency broadcasts were reaching every corner of known space. The impossible had happened. The mighty Vraxian Fleet, terror of a dozen star systems, had been crippled by small Earth creatures on the trading station of Kepler Prime. Alien merchants gathered around communication displays in shocked silence. The footage was clear and undeniable. Tiny furry animals were tearing apart the most advanced warships in the galaxy while their crews ran in panic. "This cannot be real," whispered a Zilithian trader. "Those creatures are smaller than our children's toys." "The footage is verified," replied a Lithian newscaster. "Multiple sources confirm that the Earth creatures have disabled 11 of 12 Vraxian ships. The fleet that was supposed to conquer Earth in a single day has been reduced to floating scrap metal." In the academic halls of the University of Proxima, Dr. Quellen stared at the tactical analysis in horror. As the galaxy's leading expert on primitive worlds, he had personally dismissed Earth's fauna as harmless. Now he watched security footage of honey badgers, casually destroying technology that had taken the Vraxians centuries to develop. "Impossible," he muttered to his assistant. "These creatures should not be able to survive in a spaceship environment, let alone cause this level of damage." "The reports say they have been genetically enhanced," his assistant replied nervously. "The humans have somehow improved their natural abilities." Dr. Quellen reviewed the biological data with growing dread. The honey badgers showed no fear response whatsoever. They treated million-credit weapon systems like chew toys. They moved through alien environments as if they owned them. "Send an immediate message to the Galactic Council," he ordered. "Earth's classification must be changed immediately. These are not primitive creatures, they are weaponized nightmares." Back on Admiral Krex's flagship, the situation had gone from bad to impossible. The ship was now running on emergency power only. Life support was failing in several sections. The main engines were completely offline after honey badgers had torn apart the fuel. Injection systems. Krex himself was trapped in his own conference room. The door controls had been destroyed when a honey badger decided the glowing buttons looked interesting. The communication system worked intermittently, giving him brief glimpses of the disaster affecting his entire fleet. "Admiral," came a weak voice over the crackling intercom. "This is Captain Zex on the Crimson Thunder. We are completely dead in space. The creatures have destroyed everything. My crew is hiding in the escape pods." "Admiral Krex?" called another. "Captain, the Star Destroyer is requesting immediate evacuation. We cannot stop these demons. They are everywhere at once." Through the conference room windows, Krex could see his other ships drifting helplessly. Some were completely dark. Others flickered with failing emergency lights. One was slowly rotating. Out of control after its stabilization systems had been eaten, the humans still sat calmly at the conference table, watching the destruction with satisfied expressions. They had not gloated or demanded immediate surrender. They simply waited for Krex to understand his new reality. "This is impossible," Krex said for the 100th time. "We are Vraxians. We have conquered half the galaxy. We cannot be defeated by creatures the size of rats." "Honey badgers are not rats," Haijing corrected gently. "Rats run away when they encounter superior force. Honey badgers become more aggressive." As if to prove her point, a distant explosion echoed through the ship. Somewhere in the depths of the vessel, a honey badger had discovered the ammunition storage and was methodically destroying explosive shells by biting them. The psychological impact was spreading beyond the immediate battle. On worlds throughout Vraxian space, colonial governors were receiving panicked messages from their superiors. If Earth's tiny creatures could destroy the fleet, what other horrors might humanity possess? Commander Vorthak, safe in his office on the Vraxian homeworld, watched the battle reports with growing terror. He had been the one to dismiss Earth's predators as harmless. He had laughed at their biological surveys. Now his career was in ruins, along with the pride of the Vraxian military. "Sir," his aide said carefully, "the other council members are demanding an explanation. How did our intelligence fail so completely?" Vorthak could not answer. How could he explain that humanity had turned their planet's most fearless predator into a weapon of mass destruction? How could he admit that size and firepower meant nothing against an enemy too stupid to know when it was outmatched? On Earth, Dr. DeYoung watched the psychological impact reports with professional satisfaction. As humanity's leading expert on alien warfare psychology, he had predicted exactly this reaction. "Fear is spreading faster than the honey badgers themselves," he told the command center. "Every alien species is now wondering what other surprises Earth might have. They are questioning everything they thought they knew about human capabilities." President Suyang nodded approvingly. The goal was never just to defeat this one fleet. We needed to change how the galaxy sees humanity. "Mission accomplished," DeYoung replied. "The footage of honey badgers casually destroying Vraxian warships will be required viewing at military academies for centuries. No alien commander will ever again dismiss Earth as harmless." The reports were getting worse by the hour. The galactic stock exchange had crashed as investors pulled out of any company with holdings near Earth. Insurance companies were refusing to cover ships traveling through human space. 3 alien governments had already recalled their exploratory fleets, rather than risk encountering Earth's demon creatures. On the crippled flagship, Admiral Krex finally managed to establish contact with Vraxian High Command. The face that appeared on his screen belonged to Supreme Commander Thok, the highest military authority in the Empire. "Krex," Thok's voice was cold with fury, "explain to me how 12 of our finest ships have been destroyed by animals?" "Supreme Commander," Krex began weakly, "the intelligence reports were incomplete. These creatures are not normal predators. They have been weaponized by human technology." "Weaponized?" Thok's 4 eyes blazed with anger. "They appear to be tearing apart your ships with their teeth and claws. How is that weaponization?" Before Krex could answer, another explosion shook his ship. The lights went out completely this time, leaving only the glow from his communication screen. "Sir," he said quietly, "I recommend immediate withdrawal from Earth space. These creatures cannot be stopped by conventional means." "Withdrawal?" Thok roared. "The Vraxian Empire does not retreat from primitive worlds." "With respect, sir," Krex replied, "Earth is not primitive. We made a fatal error in judgment." The communication ended abruptly as Thok cut the connection. Krex was alone with the humans and the sound of his ship slowly being destroyed around him. Ambassador Neri of the peaceful Lithian Republic was the first to propose emergency peace negotiations. Her message to the Galactic Council was simple and direct. "Honored colleagues," she said to the emergency assembly, "we must immediately open diplomatic channels with Earth. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that were not in our initial assessments. Continued hostility serves no one's interests." The vote was unanimous. Every species present had seen the footage of honey badgers treating advanced technology like disposable toys. None of them wanted to discover what other surprises humanity might have prepared. Dr. Quellen, his scientific reputation in ruins, stood to address the council. "I must formally retract my previous assessment of Earth's biological threats. These creatures represent a level of adaptive aggression that we failed to understand." "How could you miss something so obvious?" demanded the representative from Altair. "Because we judged them by our own standards," Quellen admitted. "We looked for size, firepower, and conventional threat indicators. We never considered that the most dangerous predator might be one too stubborn to recognize superior force." Back on the flagship, Teeman finally stood up from the conference table. "Admiral Krex, I believe it is time to discuss new terms for our relationship." Krex looked at him with defeat in his eyes. Around them, the ship continued its slow death as honey badgers methodically destroyed everything they could reach. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "First," Teeman said calmly, "immediate withdrawal of all Vraxian forces from Earth space. Second, full recognition of Earth sovereignty. Third, reclassification of our world from Category 3 to Category 1 protected status." "And if I refuse?" Teeman smiled. "Then we will continue this demonstration until your fleet is completely disabled. The honey badgers are having quite a lot of fun, and they show no signs of getting tired." As if summoned by his words, Baldock appeared in the conference room's ventilation grate. The enhanced honey badger looked down at the aliens with bright, intelligent eyes before disappearing back into the ship's infrastructure to continue his work. The psychological war was over. Earth had won? 6 months after the Great Honey Badger incident, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Where Earth's delegation had once sat at a small table in the center of the room, they now occupied a prominent position in the upper tier reserved. For Category 1 Protected Worlds, Ambassador Tiemann stood at the speaker's podium, addressing the assembled representatives with confidence that would have been impossible during his first visit. The chamber was silent as he spoke, every alien eye focused on the human who had changed the balance of galactic power. "Honored council members," he began, "Earth is pleased to announce the completion of our new orbital defense platform. The facility will serve as a training center for enhanced fauna deployment and a research station for protective species development." Murmurs filled the chamber, but they were respectful now rather than mocking. Every representative present had studied the classified reports about what happened to the Vraxian fleet. None of them wanted to experience Earth's defensive capabilities firsthand. Dr. Yuna sat beside Tiemann at the expanded Earth delegation table. Her Enhanced Fauna Research Division had become the most feared and respected military program in known space. Universities across the galaxy now offered courses in Earth predator psychology and small threat assessment. The platform currently houses over 2,000 enhanced honey badgers, Dr. Yuna reported to the council. They serve as both a defensive force and an ongoing research population for our continuing enhancement programs. Commander Vorthak, his military rank reduced after the intelligence failure, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The once proud Vraxian officer now served as a junior advisor on unconventional threat assessment. His expertise was valued specifically because he had been so wrong about Earth's capabilities. "Dr. Yuna," called out the representative from the Zilithian collective, "can you provide an update on the honey badger behavioral patterns? Our military analysts are still struggling to understand their tactical approach." Yuna smiled as she activated a holographic display. Honey badgers do not follow conventional military tactics because they do not recognize conventional limitations. They see every obstacle as a puzzle to be solved through persistent aggression. The display showed footage from the orbital platform. Enhanced honey badgers moved through complex training environments, solving problems that stumped military strategists from a dozen worlds. They treated laser barriers like climbing challenges and explosive obstacles like interesting toys. "The key to their effectiveness," Yuna continued, "is their complete absence of fear response. They cannot be intimidated, cannot be discouraged, and cannot be convinced to retreat. To a honey badger, every problem has a solution that involves tearing something apart." Dr. Quellen, now serving as the galaxy's leading researcher on Earth, fauna, raised one of his elongated arms. "Dr. Yuna, have you developed countermeasures for honey badger attacks? Many worlds are concerned about defensive preparations." "The best defense against honey badgers," Yuna replied with a slight grin, "is not to anger the humans who control them." Nervous laughter echoed through the chamber. It was not entirely a joke, and everyone knew it. President Suyang, attending her first council session as Earth's head of state, stood to address the assembly. "Earth wishes to assure the council that our enhanced fauna programs are purely defensive in nature. We seek peaceful coexistence with all galactic civilizations. However," she continued, her voice carrying a subtle warning, "Earth will defend itself against any threat using all available resources. The honey badger program represents only one aspect of our defensive capabilities." This statement caused considerable stirring among the alien representatives. If honey badgers were just one weapon in Earth's arsenal, what other surprises might humanity have prepared? The truth was that Earth had dozens of enhancement programs running in secret. Dr. Yuna's team was working with wolverines, Tasmanian devils, and even modified army ants. Each species brought unique advantages for different types of conflicts. Captain Kyung-soo, now Admiral of Earth's Space Defense Force, provided a status report on humanity's growing influence. Earth has established mutual defense agreements with 17 worlds that have requested protection from conventional threats. Our enhanced fauna deployment teams are available for consultation and emergency response. The irony was remarkable. Earth had gone from being considered a primitive backwater to becoming the galaxy's most sought-after security consultant. Worlds that had once dismissed human technology now paid enormous fees for honey badger protection services. The Altarian Republic reports that a single honey badger deployment eliminated their entire pirate problem. Admiral Kyung-soo continued. The creatures infiltrated the pirate base and systematically destroyed every ship and weapon system. The pirates surrendered rather than face continued honey badger attacks. Ambassador Nari of the Lithian Republic stood to make an announcement. The Lithian government wishes to formally thank Earth for the assistance provided during the Keth incursion. The enhanced honey badgers stopped the invasion fleet more effectively than our entire military. Ji-won, now Earth's Director of Interspecies Communications, recorded everything for the historical archives. The footage would be studied for generations as an example of how completely galactic power structures could change in the platform's habitat sections. Boldeck supervised his growing colony with the satisfaction of a creature who had achieved his life's purpose. The enhanced honey badger wore a small collar identifying him as Chief of Galactic Defense Operations, a title that confused him but came with excellent food and interesting things to destroy during training exercises. His offspring were already showing the enhanced intelligence and fearlessness that made their species so effective. Young honey badgers played with alien technology samples, learning to identify weak points and optimal destruction techniques. To them, it was just fun games. To the galaxy, it represented an ever-growing threat. The orbital platform itself had become a tourist destination for brave aliens who wanted to observe Earth's demon creatures from a safe distance. Viewing areas allowed visitors to watch honey badgers during training exercises, though the barriers were reinforced with the strongest materials available. It is remarkable, Dr. Quellen told a group of visiting scientists, how such small creatures can inspire such widespread fear. The psychological impact far exceeds their actual physical capabilities. Their physical capabilities destroyed 12 Vraxian battleships, one visitor pointed out. True, Quellen admitted, but the fear they inspire has prevented dozens of potential conflicts. No military commander wants to explain to their superiors how their fleet was defeated by creatures that could fit in a lunchbox. The Galactic Military Academy now required all cadets to study the Vraxian defeat as part of their basic training. The lesson was simple: never underestimate an opponent based on size or apparent technological disadvantage. The most dangerous enemies might be the ones you do not take seriously. Admiral Krex, his career ended but his life spared, served as a guest lecturer at the Academy. His presentations on catastrophic intelligence failure were always well attended by officers who wanted to avoid making similar mistakes. The humans did not defeat us with superior technology, he would tell each class. They defeated us with superior understanding of what makes a predator truly dangerous. We looked for big teeth and energy weapons. They gave us small creatures with unlimited determination. As the council session concluded, Teeman reflected on how dramatically Earth's situation had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had faced extinction as a species. Now they were one of the most influential powers in galactic politics. The secret to their success was not superior technology or military might. It was understanding that sometimes the smallest fighters could achieve the biggest victories, especially when they were too stubborn to know they were supposed to lose. Dr. Yuna packed up her presentation materials while making notes for future research projects. The enhancement programs were expanding to include other Earth species, but honey badgers remained the gold standard for fearless aggression. Dr. Yuna, Teeman asked as they prepared to leave, do you think the galaxy will ever stop being afraid of our honey badgers? She considered the question seriously. Ambassador, I do not think the galaxy should stop being afraid. Fear keeps them honest. and honey badgers have never cared what anyone thinks about them anyway. As their shuttle departed for Earth, Keenan looked back at the massive space station that served as the center of galactic government. Humanity had earned their place there not through diplomacy or superior technology, but by proving that the most dangerous predators were the ones too determined to give up. On the orbital platform, Bolduc was already planning his next training exercise. He had heard rumors about something called a Klingon bird of prey that was supposedly very difficult to destroy. To a honey badger, that sounded like an interesting challenge. The galaxy had learned to respect Earth's predators. But the honey badgers were just getting started.